Hey guys, if you have played with the thought of buying one of those K40 laser machines, but you are a little skeptic not only about the machine itself, but about if you can even operate it properly without spending weeks and weeks of studying books and manuals, so this video is for you. The laser machine itself I already explained in another video. If you want to watch this right now, please click on the link that pops up right now in the upper right corner. Also, I will put a link down in the description below. This video or tutorial is about the basics of Coreldraw and how to bring down your ideas to your working piece actually. By the way, this is the first video of a new series about the K40 laser. More videos are coming soon. I will try to upload more videos during the next weeks and months. If you want to get notified when the next video gets online, please poke that little subscribe button below or click on the watermark on the bottom right. That also helps me to keep this channel running, as for now in a few weeks my channel gets demonetized due to YouTube's new rules of having at least 1000 subscribers that for now I can't accomplish. Alright, with that said, let's get started. I will start at the point where you have already installed Laserdraw on your computer. If you haven't yet bought a K40 machine, make sure this software is included into the package. If you already have ordered your laser, there is no head scratching. Go on Facebook and ask to join the group Laser Engraving and Cutting. There you will find the needed files. The link to this group is in the description below. Before opening Corel Laser, make sure your laser dongle, this little USB stick that came with your laser, is hooked up to one of your computer's USB ports. Okay, let's get started with our Laserdraw. Laserdraw is nothing else than a version of Coreldraw 11 or 12 with a plugin installed, which you can see here. This is all there is to our laser. About Coreldraw in general, it is a technical drawing program, so to speak, to make technical drawings which are very precise in measurements and whatnot. So let's start off with the Coreldraw setting, or our laser setting. So this should be similar for you guys. WMF normal Windows meter file, current page, cutting data. It's the PLT HPGL/2 plotter file. As the software talks to the laser as it would be a plotter. Cutting area, current page, pixel size 2 steps by 500 dpi, and well, that's about it for this kind of setting. You should have the same thing going on this page. Now we go to our device settings or properties. This is our main board selector screen. This is pretty important. You have to get the right PCB selected here. Usually the newer models of the laser comes with the Model 2, which is the new hardware controller for the motors. So in my case this works. In case this doesn't work, check out one of the others until your laser starts moving somehow. Alright, for the rest, those are all settings you could mostly change in the actual print menu, so we don't have to change anything at all for now. When your laser is hooked up already via USB, it should show you this device ID number. Okay, that's about it for the properties. So now Coreldraw should speak the same language as your laser cutter, probably some kind of Chinese dialect or so. Let's start with actually using Coreldraw. First of all, our laser cutter is colorblind, which is in our case a nice thing, so we can forget about all the colors and all the options and tools and whatever that have anything to do with color, because we don't need color, we only need black. And this little thing here, that color means it's transparent. So that's this white area with the X. It's a transparent color, which is pretty handy as well for our purposes. Alright, so in general, the nice thing is though, a laser cutter is nothing else than a laser printer or a printer in general. So everything will be two-dimensional. We don't need to build fancy 3D structures and models. We don't have to calculate working paths for a drilling bit, for example. That sometimes is pretty tricky and can cause your machine to damage the piece or damage even the machine, because the drill bit runs into your piece at the end because there was one little failure in your work path or whatever. So we don't care about all those things with a laser cutter. The laser cutter will cut something I draw in 2 dimensions, and I don't have to clamp down my working piece because there's nothing touching it. With a drilling machine, you know, there's a drill bit going into your working piece, so you have to clamp everything down very nice and tight so nothing can fly across your room or whatever. A laser cutter don't even touches your working piece, and that's such a nice thing. You won't believe it until you really start using your new laser cutter. Alright, so quick and easy. We have our Coreldraw software here. Let's create a new file. Alright, so for now you can sure pre-configure the size of your image and adapt it to the size of your actual cutter bed or laser bed. In my case, I just choose a standard letter format. Okay, so actually what we need some or most of the time are our little tools here. This area right here and some of those little functions. And as I said about the colors, we don't care, we just need black and translucent. So, very easy. Let's say we want to build a little keychain, just for fun, to have something to do. So we choose this rectangle tool, like in every software, like Microsoft Paint, like Photoshop or Illustrator, wherever. You just you click on your tool, you draw, for example, a little square or rectangle, whatever. For now you can see nothing actually, and that's because of our transparent layer. First of all, with the wheel on your mouse you can zoom in and zoom out, which is a nice thing because you don't have to search for buttons or whatever. You can just zoom in with your mouse. Alright, so we see nothing, we just see some scaling tools around our object. That's because it's translucent, because this layer is, or this color is selected. When I now select black with the left mouse button, you see we have our object here. The thing is though, as the laser sees black and white, he would probably cut this piece of, let's say, wood until your house is burned down, because it's all black. We want, for example, just the laser to cut out this rectangular shape. So what we do is we go on our transparent color again, and we click with the left mouse button. So it's disappeared again, and now we go on black and we click with the right mouse button. And what does this do is it just colors in the outlines, and that is pretty awesome for what our use is for in this software. So now we have our outlines. So theoretically, when I would go to cut, the laser would cut this rectangular. So next we have the actual thickness of the lines. This is another point. For cutting in general, a hairline, like you see here, a hairline means for the laser this is a one single pass job. He passes once around the whole thing, and that's it. And that's what we want, because if the material is thicker, we can still print it simply again, you know, and the laser will do the same thing and engrave and cut even deeper into a material until the whole rectangle is cut out. So we won't change much to this setup here. Sure, we can put it like on 4 points, and you see I have a very thick square. This is nice when you want to engrave, like, you know, a border around a writing or something. Then this is comes in pretty handy. But for cutting purposes, only use hairlines. All right. So we have our rectangle here. Oh, optionally, what you can do is when you go on View, on Grid, it will show you a little helping grid. When I zoom out, you see, and you can set these up as well when you go to our properties here. You can set all kinds of properties for the software. You can say like 1 square is a millimeter or a centimeter or a tenth of a millimeter or whatever. For now I set mine to millimeters. So yeah, and also what you want to activate, you go on View again and snap to grid, because in this case when I take my picking tool, you know, our square will snap to each case, which is easier to just position your rectangle onto your surface. Alright, now we want to make a keychain, right? And now the technical drawing part of the software comes in handy, because here we have our indicator about the size of our square. Other than in Photoshop, where it's more a thing of guessing, here you can put in exactly the size of your actual rectangle. Let's say in our case, as we want to make a keychain, the length of this little thing would be 5 centimeters or 50 millimeters. Sure, you can switch this over to inches in the properties as well. But for my case, I prefer millimeters because it's more precise and easier to, you know, gather numbers around and stuff. So our widthness, we have a wideness of 50 millimeter, widthness of 50 millimeter. Sorry for my English again. You know, there are some words still missing in my vocabulary. The height, let's say, we would say 3 centimeters, 30 millimeters. So now we press enter and voila, our rectangle has the exact size of 50 by 30 millimeters. This, by the way, are the coordinates where the square or the rectangle is situated on our sheet here. So we don't bother too much about this for now. Alright, so we have 50 by 30. By the way, this is the same thing, but in percentage. Sometimes this comes in handy when you have to make something bigger or smaller. You just put in like 90% and it automatically adapts the size to, yeah, a little bit smaller to a 90% size. Also, this is this little lock here will lock both aspects together, which is nice as well. Sometimes, especially when you just need to make this a little bit smaller, you go here and you say 99% and it will make this a little bit smaller. Alright, so we have our rectangle and well, as it is a keychain, we want to make it look a little bit more professional, let's say. So again, we go up here and we have this nice little menu option here. Again, you have this little lock. This means those 4 segments will stick together as one, or when I change one of those units, every 4 of them will do the same. This actually means, yeah, as it says, left rectangle corner roundness. When I zoom in here, you can see for now our rectangle is pretty rectangular with hard corners or 90 degrees corners. We are about to see in thousandths of a millimeter or something here, that's why this is rounded now, but in a normal scale it would be a 90-degree angle. And we want to round this off a little. So I just go here and I click this and you see we have rounded edges now. When I zoom out, you see it looks already much better, or more like a kind of a keychain. Now we need a little hole here, right, for to put the key ring through. So I go here on our Ellipse Tool. You have some different options over here. Now it would just make an arc, a pie, or an ellipse. We want an ellipse. And we just draw a little ellipse here. Again, you see it disappeared because it's translucent. so I have to go on my black color. I want to make only the outlines visible, so I click with the right mouse button and you have your circle here. Now when I use my pick tool, I can move this around where I want it, but I want it in this lower corner here. Alright, again here you can see it's not 100% circle, but it actually is an ellipse, and I want to make it a circle. So 9 millimeters by 9 millimeters, and there it is, 100% round hole. Again, what's nice, you can still change this. So in case you, I don't know, change your mind last minute or something, you can always change things around as well with our outlines. You can, oops, come on, there you go. You can still change the roundness and whatnot. That's pretty handy. Okay, so we have practically our our shape of our key ring here, or keychain thing. Now certainly we want to write something in it, so we go to our text tool, standard like in every other software. Well, here you have to somehow mark off the space where you want to write in, like this. Then you want to type in something very intellectual, or a name, like this. As in every software or text software, you select it. So let's make it thick or big, and then we want to align it in the center. Let's change the writing. In this case, our writing will be engraved, so we can choose from every font we have here. Let's use this, and then let's make this a bit bigger. That's too big. Let's say 30. All right. Still, I will move this a little bit down. That's better. All right. So as we engrave the letters, it's better to have them filled with black color. Sure, with the left mouse button on transparent, I can make them translucent again, and with the right mouse button, I can only make the outlines visible. We want to engrave this, so we don't want only the outlines engraved, but we want to really engrave the whole thing inside of a piece of acrylic, for example, and it should be sunken in, you know, so it should be like 1 millimeter deep inside of our working piece. By the way, the depth of the actual engraving you can later choose in your speed options, or simply with this big knob on your laser cutter, because when you pull down the output power of your laser, obviously the engraving won't be that deep, right? So very simple. So let's go back to this, and we want this to be all black again, like this. All right. The laser won't see this. This is just for you. These are some guidelines where you see this is the window where your text will be in. Okay. Alright, so probably this is finished right now, right? Our little keychain. So let's go to our engraving settings. You have cutting and engraving. Well, those two are probably this. It's the same menu. Let's click on it. It's the same thing. The only thing that changes is that the style. So here it says engraving, and when I go on cutting, here it says cutting, but still you can change this over to engraving. It doesn't change anything, so it doesn't matter if you click one of both. Just be sure, always check the style, what's happening. So engraving, sunken, I never uncheck this actually, because mostly I want my engravings to be sunken into my piece, right? Okay. So for now my laser is not hooked up to my laptop, that's why there is nothing written here. Probably there should be the model or the mainboard number, code, whatever, of your machine We don't want to rotate anything. Actually, we don't want to do anything here. We just want to engrave this, right? So, first of all, now it's a good point or good moment to switch on your water pump and your laser. And make sure your actual laser tube is deactivated by this little red switch on the top of your laser cutter, because when you push the preview button, the laser will actually activate and burn a rectangle into your working piece. And sometimes you want that, sometimes you don't. I mostly don't want it because I like surprises. No, I'm just kidding. It's just the actual preview button is pretty useful. I will show you why. We have our piece right here, right? You make sure your laser is deactivated but switched on, so when we move this around right now, your laser should move. The laser head should go on to the exact position of this X point here. Don't move it too far here or there, because your laser don't have any end position buttons, which means that when you put your thing here, your work piece here, the actual laser head will run into the chassis of your machine, which isn't good for your belts and for your motors either. So just move it around carefully and see where the laser head is positioned on the laser bed. So over here right now it should be in the left upper corner of the whole laser bed, right? Okay, so let's say we would do, well, we put it a little bit further down like this, so the head should move over there. When you now click on preview, the laser will give you the outer limits of your workpiece. This is very helpful because now you know how big your actual piece of acrylic or wood has to be to make the whole thing fit in. It doesn't matter if that's a square or a rectangle or a triangle or a circle. It will always make it will always draw a square or a rectangle around it with in every extremity. So your workpiece will always fit inside of this preview area. When you switch on your laser tube and you click preview, it will burn even a rectangle or a square onto your working piece, so you see exactly where later on the object will be engraved or cut out. Alright, so what we want to do now is we want to engrave the letters, the writing, right? But we don't want to engrave the outlines of our keychain, because that's something we want to cut out later. So now there's a little trick, and sometimes Coreldraw has a little bug there, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You have to keep an eye on that, because sometimes you can ruin a piece because Coreldraw sometimes didn't align the different layers correctly. I will show you how or what this is about. So let's simply click on our outline of our actual keychain. Then by holding down the shift button, we select the circle as well, because we don't want those two pieces to be engraved, right? Now we go to our transparent layer and we click with the right mouse button, and you see they're disappeared, but still there, but the laser won't see them because they're translucent. Now usually when I go to engrave or cutting, it doesn't matter, you see the laser sees the layers, but still our word is not aligned exactly on this X point here, which means the layers are still there but just invisible. And that's exactly what we want. We don't want the letters to be stuck right here, you know, in the upper corner here, because that means that that there are no other layers than the word. I don't know if you understand that right now, because right now there is no bug, but when there is a bug, this word fart would stand right there on the line, and that means when we engrave this and we want to cut out, your engravement will be here and the cutout will be here around, so your piece is completely messed up. As I said, this is a bug that sometimes happens. When this happens to you, you can also just, for simple things like this, you keep this like that, and you engrave the whole thing with the outlines. It doesn't matter because you will cut out the whole thing anyway, so it doesn't matter. But to make it a little bit more professional, or a little bit quicker as well, because you avoid the laser from engraving the whole thing, you just need the letters. You can try to make it like this, okay? Right, so, oh, you see it? Now I just clicked on cutting, so, and we want to engrave. There you go. Oh, there it is. Now you see the failure. You see this? Now fart is aligned straight to the corner. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It should be further down, away from the cross, because there is still our outline around it, our rectangle. There it is. That's exactly the bug I'm talking about. Because, oops, so when I put our layers back on, you see, now it's back apart from the actual cross. Let's try this again. Make this translucent. And there it is again. That's exactly the problem. See? So there is no real solution for that right now. I must say 90% of the time it never made a problem, because it's pretty rare that this happens. I don't know why. I don't know why it happens, but it happens sometimes. So in this case, what should we do? In this case, let's try to select them again. And maybe now it works. No, it doesn't. See, it's still stuck on the cross there. Maybe when I just select this and I just make the outer rectangle translucent. Yeah, see, now it works. It's so weird. Now it works. Now you have the letters further down and further to the right, so it sees the actual surrounding square. Alright, we want to engrave things here, right? So this is set to engrave sunken, speed 200 millimeters per second. I have to mention, engraving means the laser machine works like a printer. So the head will go left, right, left, right, left, right, and it will burn in every single line of what you want to print onto the material. Cutting, on the other way, will follow the line and cut out the exact lines you have drawn. Let's go and engrave. So make sure your pump is on, your laser is on, your fan is on. Put the potentiometer about in the middle to have like around 15 milliamps. I won't go further because it's not good for the laser tube. Now put in your working material. Let's say put in a little piece of wood or acrylic, and yeah, we're probably good to go, right? Make sure that as this is your starting point, that your piece of material is aligned nicely right now. If not, repeat the part as we did before with the preview. So disable the laser, push the preview button and align your material to the exact starting point. Alright, with all this done, we can click start. And this should not happen to you, because now my laser is not hooked up. That's why he does not find the USB key, neither the laser itself. But now your machine should start engraving. Alright, so hopefully your part is now engraved. And a very important thing, don't move your part right now. Don't take it out, don't even look at it. The thing is, it has to stay perfectly aligned to make our outline going around, you know. So we select our outline, or in this case I just select everything, and I click on black with the right mouse button to make this visible again. And now we do the opposite side. We select our text, and we do this text to be transparent, like this. And now we can go and cut our keychain, right? So we go to the cutting menu. Don't touch this because everything is now aligned for cutting out the keychain around the writing we already engraved. So don't touch anything. Style cutting inside first doesn't matter right now because there is nothing where we have to worry about. It will cut out the circle first, but that's just fine. Speed, it depends on the thickness of the wood or acrylic you want to use. That's something where you will play a lot with working with your laser. Because speed means also cutting depth because the laser is moving slower, so it burns deeper into your material. I would not change the intensity of the laser itself too much. I would more play with the speed. So when you see that your cut don't go through in the first time, put it down to 15 millimeters per second. If this is still not working, then go and just go again. Just do this until your piece is cut it out. If you put this too slow, your part risks to burn or to get very dark burnt ends or burnt outlines. I mostly stay with like 20 millimeters, and if this didn't get through, I just redo it again with 20 millimeters. Sometimes when I cut through 8 millimeter plywood, you have to make 5 passes, so I make 5 passes and the last one, or 4 passes and the last one I put on 30 millimeters per second, which is for me the maximum I go in things of speed, because that's pretty quick already. Alright, and for the rest we're good to go. Make sure your pump is still on and your extraction system works and your laser is activated, and then we go on start. And again, my laser is not hooked up right now, and it should start cutting, well, the circle first, and it cuts out the whole thing right here. Alright guys, this is pretty much it for this episode. I hope I could explain a little thing to you and you understand my bad English. Yeah, for more videos, there are more videos to come soon. I think in the next weeks or months there will be a couple of them coming up. About the K40 laser. In case you haven't seen the review about the laser and the modifications I made to mine, just click on the link below in the description, where you also can leave me a comment at the same time. Please subscribe to my channel. It would be pretty awesome, so I can continue making those videos. And yeah, I hope you will have a lot of fun with your laser cutter. So, see ya!